Hello and welcome to Footnotes, the Cicerone podcast, a podcast to inspire you about outdoor travel and activities in the UK and across the world. I'm Hannah and I hope you enjoy this episode. Today I'm talking to Mark Eddy, who is the author of a new book that's coming in September called Costa Blanca Mountain Adventures. Mark is an experienced mountain guide and he's spent a lot of time in Spain exploring this area and plenty of others. So he's going to talk to us about how fabulous the Costa Blanca area is and why you should go exploring there. So hi Mark.
Good morning, Hannah.
So Costa Blanca, we're talking today, it's a bit of a gloomy, grey, rainy day. And I don't really feel like I need telling why I should want to go to the Costa Blanca, but do it anyway for the benefit of our listeners. Why should we go to the Costa Blanca?
So Costa Blanca, which is in southeast Spain, is one of the sunniest places in Europe. I think it is actually the sunniest place in Europe. Wintertime, between mid-October to the end of April, the temperatures are pretty perfect for outdoor and adventurous activities, be that walking in the mountains, running, climbing, cycling, and all those things related to that, where we're using a bit of energy and warming ourselves up. But we don't want to get, but not wanting to overheat ourselves. And we're just doing those things in a really beautiful, bright environment. That's what's really lovely about the Costa Blanca, and particularly living in, as we do in northwest England. Like you say, it's pretty grey and gloomy during those times of the year. So it's like a bit of a pick-me-up, a bit of a tonic, just to get that blue sky for a little while and put a smile back on our faces and be able to be active and not be wet at the same time. That's what's really great about the place, and that's the main reason why we should all be visiting it during wintertime. It's also a quieter place in the winter. In summertime, much of all of southern Spain gets really busy, especially with holidaymakers wanting to sit on the beach and tan themselves, which is, of course, is a really nice thing to do too. Come wintertime, those people have come back home, as it's not really beach weather, it's more activity weather. A lot of places to stay at very reasonable prices and just loads to do in a quiet environment. Yeah, because, you've got Alicante and Benidorm and places like that, haven't you, in Costa Blanca? So they're really, really touristy hotspots in the summer. But then all of these places, all that infrastructure is still there in the winter, but just with, far fewer visitors. That's right. As you say, Alicante is sort of towards the south of the region. You've got Valencia towards the north of the region. They both have airports, international airports. So it's very easy to get there. And between, those two pretty big cities, there's this coastal strip, firstly, with lots of infrastructure, lots of places to stay, and some pretty reasonable transport links, certainly very good transport links for private cars, and improving rail links all the time. And so, the infrastructure's there, but why not get there while it's quiet and use it? Yeah, so this guidebook is a little bit different to a standard Cicerone book in that it does have some walking and hiking in it. But the idea is that it's a mountain adventures book, and this reflects the variety of activities to do in the area, doesn't it? So there's trail running, there's via ferrata, there's canyoning, and we say this all the time, but it's like an adventure playground for people who are into the outdoors. And if you wanted to go for a week of general activities, there's plenty to do there. But even if you just wanted to have a week of climbing, there's still plenty to do there. Oh, absolutely. I was originally visiting the area as a climber for a number of years. That's pretty much all we did when we went to Costa Blanca, was climb. And it's wonderful for that. And we're still finding lots of new routes and new places to climb. But as a visiting climber, there comes a point where I think for all of us, there's got to be something else. There needs to be some varieties, some draw to go back. And so we started looking and quickly found lots and lots of variety, lots of other things to do. I'd say now, like on our visits, we probably climb 20% of the time, and the rest is doing other things because there's so much to do, much of which the book includes, as you say, via ferratas, canyons, the mountain running, the road biking, which is phenomenally good there. most professional cycling teams spend a portion of their winter based in that region, and they do it for very good reason, because it's as good as it gets. And then the trad and the sport climbing, and many people do overlook, visiting climbers at least overlook the trad climbing on a visit there, and they'll just go with their quick draws and no trad gear. It's a brilliant place to go trad climbing. It really is. You can do routes that are 1,000 meters long. There's not that many places like outside of sort of big wall venues that you can do that.
And so you said sort of October to April is the winter season. So how warm is it? Because, going climbing on these big rocks in the middle of summer in Costa Blanca would be pretty sweaty. So how warm is it in the winter?
So it varies quite considerably. Like October time, it's going to be most likely still in the 20s in the shade, but come November, December, January, February, you're going to be into probably no more than mid-teens in the shade, and then usually warming up again in March, April time to starting to border back towards and into 20s. And of course, the sunny temperatures are going to be warmer than that. So if you're on a south-facing crag, even if it's the recorded temperature is 10, it could easily be 20 in the sun when you've got a big piece of rock in front of you. So pretty ideal, to be honest. And the weather conditions are quite stable. Rainfall is low. Cloudy days are reasonably on. I think like the statistics show it's something like 320 days of sun per. So pretty stable. If someone was to ask me when's the best time to go, I'd be saying between December to March would be the optimum for someone living in northern England, because it's about as gloomy as it gets here, but it's still really quite good there.
Yeah, because that's the thing. If you're into climbing outdoors in the UK, when it gets to sort of December, you've got very few daylight hours, and it's quite difficult to schedule a weekend of climbing with your friends when you get to the weekend and the weather's just not great, or you think everything's going to be wet and slippy. Whereas you almost could do a weekend in the Costa Blanca and have a couple of guaranteed days almost of good weather.
So I've had friends come out and stay literally like that for a long weekend. They hopped on a flight from Manchester or Heathrow, come over, done 3 days, and we'll have got out all of those days. That they'll have maybe climbed, we'll have done a big trad route, a couple of sport days, and they'll head back home having done as much climbing as they will have done in the previous 3 or 4 months in that weekend. It can be that good and that intense. Like you say, we can't rely on it here on being able to do that. It's just too variable, and that's not really what we get. What you get over there. Yeah, there's always the unlucky times. It's got to rain everywhere, right? It's just much less likely.
Yeah, and I guess there's still some activities that you can do in the rain. It's not like we're afraid of rain or anything. There's just some activities that it doesn't matter as much, like trail running. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like you got to pick your routes with things like that. So the soil is different over there to certainly what we get in Cumbria. It's very clay-like, so it does become quite. Oh, what's the word for it? Smother. Yeah.
How international the word claggy might be. It's sticky.
Sticky, that is it. Yeah, so it does sort of smother your shoes a bit, but picking the routes, and that's fine. Certainly, we've done plenty of things in the rain. Visiting some of the big waterfalls, be that on a walk or a run, is really cool, because actually, typically waterfalls and canyons will be that they only have water after very heavy rain. So going having a walk and checking those out or a run is really quite a sight. And the locals will be out doing the same because they're just not used to seeing that. So it's like their local attractions, like, wow, look, there's water.
Oh, they go out in the rain, do they?
Yeah, well, they go out and look at like a spectacle, but typically, like, if they had if local climbers over there were due to meet on Saturday to climb, it's like, oh, it's a bit rainy. Well, let's not meet then. Let's meet next weekend, because it'll be sunny then, won't it?
Yeah.
They can totally do. Whereas back here, we've got to be a little bit more. Well, hey, let's just go out and do such and such in the rain. Yeah. Yeah,
I've got family in Spain, and every time it rains, it seems that all the locals just kind of run away, and you think, well, you might be able to have that attitude somewhere where it doesn't rain very often, but here, if you just ran away every time it rained, you'd never get anything done.
No.
So right, so we've clearly, there is a lot to do in the Costa Blanca if you are a climber or a runner or a walker, anything like that. But how difficult is it all? Is there something for everybody, or is it a bit more tricky?
I'd say there's something for everybody, from real beginner to the very experienced. So, I mean, let's take running, for example. There's a really good and friendly culture in the running world out there. There'll be really well organised races all the time. There'll be numerous races every week. And some people take them really seriously. Others turn up and they'll walk. Some will be in fancy dress. There'll be a party at the start, a party at the end, very much that sort of fiesta feel, if you like. And, some people will be bothered about their times. They'll want to win. But for many, it's a social. So, you can go and do a 5K road race, a 10K road race, or there's ultras through the mountains. All things like that, all the races are extremely well organised. I mean, I've done running races here and over in Spain, and they're light years apart. You'll pay often like €3 or €4 to enter a race. You'll be fed, watered, they'll give you a T-shirt, and it'll be signposted. All of that goes on. Because the town halls are they want to promote good health, which is really nice to see, right? So there's more input, and there'll be a local business sponsoring it. So there's funding coming from elsewhere. And there's just a really nice atmosphere. The little thing, for those that are doing races, a bit of advice I'd give is what tends to happen. You finish the race, even if it's just like 5K, for example, and there'll be tables set out at the end with food and drink, and often the food will be pretty simple, just energy food, and the drink will be it'll either be juice or wine or beer. And you got to be careful. Do you really want to pick up and swig a whole glass of wine after running in the sun? Maybe not. So you got to be just like smell before you drink kind of thing. But equally, away from races, it's not that kind of thing's not for everybody. There's nice, easy, flatter trail running to do right up to big stuff in the mountains. Take that into climbing, right from sort of 10-meter pitches that are like a grade 3+, which is very, very easy, to huge multi-pitch sea cliff and mountain routes. Some sport climbs, some traditionally protected. So there really is something for everyone. I think we've got a number of 9A pluses in the region now, so that would attract the elite. So very accessible. So accessible in all ways, really. We're, easy to get to, and there's plenty to do for everybody when they get there. Exactly.
There's one picture in the book that makes me feel a bit queasy, to be honest, and it's just, I'm assuming it's you on this incredibly exposed climbing. So I guess there is some quite adventurous stuff as well.
There is some really adventurous climbing. The sea cliffs are really adventurous in particular, and they have huge exposure. Anyone that's climbed by the sea will know it. Just being above the water adds another dimension that is you don't find anywhere else in climbing. So there's some pretty serious routes included in this guide. So equally, there's nice things for relative novices right through to those that are looking for, they want to spice up their adventure days and go and have a big adventure by the sea or up in the mountains and get a lot of space below their feet.
I mean, it's really good for the photography. It looks really impressive when you've got these photographs, but I think that's not so much for me, that particular one.
Okay.
But you don't, that's the whole point. You don't have to do all of it, do you? You can just have a day of this and a day of that, and
it's a
day of wandering around. That's what's so nice. And we've got a couple of these mountain adventures books, and we do them for places where we really feel like there is that breadth of activities, and there's so many things you can do. So it's kind of we don't do them for every single region. We're not trying to go, oh gosh, we've got to find some cycling to do in this area. That's going to be a challenge. It is naturally, it's all available, and that's why we choose this type of book rather than a standard walking book or whatever, isn't it?
For sure, yeah, for sure. And so yeah, you mentioned cycling then. So it was the Costa Blanca that introduced me back to road cycling. I think this was only like about 3 years ago now. I hadn't cycled for years, and a good friend said to me, "Oh, why don't you come out here? You're fit. Why don't you come out for a bike ride? Here's a bike. Come on." Okay. And he told me where we were going once we'd left, or I probably wouldn't have done it. And we cycled up this really iconic climb called the Col de Rates. And I was like, "Oh, I don't think I'll make it. I don't think I'll make it." And anyway, sure enough, I made it, and all was good. The cycle bike was really happy, and I was completely sold on back to cycling. But it wasn't just the action of being on a bike; it was being on a bike on such wonderful roads through this wonderful scenery. You've got this silky smooth tarmac everywhere, and just mountains to look at everywhere, and put the two together, and it's just heaven. It really, really is. And I just didn't look back. So, right, let's get a bike and just keep going.
Yeah, sunshine and a sea breeze. It's like there's not many things that like. I just love being on a bike when it's like that. When you've got that strong breeze and you can just pedal along. I love it.
Yeah.
Whilst we're talking about bikes, is it possible to hire bikes when you get there?
Yes, it is, and it's quite easy to hire bikes. Again, this was all quite new to me only a few years ago. And some people were coming to stay with us. In fact, it was my partner's daughter and two of her friends were coming to stay. I think I'm right remembering that. And they didn't want to bring their own bikes. They were just coming for like, I think 3 or 4 days. I was like, well, it's quite, for that amount of time, it's quite expensive to put your bike on the plane and bring it.
Yeah.
And, there's possibilities of it getting damaged. So they hired from a local rental place. And they got these 3 really nice bikes. They said they were nice, and they knew about bikes, really lovely bikes. And since then, I've realised, that there's actually a lot of outfits that will rent for, typically like €25 a day. You'll get a really up-to-date carbon bike, with like Shimano 105 or Ultegra, the kind of group sets on it. And so, you don't have to pack your bike if you don't want it. It's just like, get in touch with one of these people in advance. So, look, I want it for this date to this date. And they'll even bring it to your house.
That's pretty good.
I think the beauty about hiring as well, particularly if you're somewhere new, if you have mechanical issues, you can just call them up and they'll come and sort it out. Rather than having your own there, and if something fails, thinking, right, well, where's the bike shop? Is it a good bike shop? They just deal with all of that for you. A pretty nominal fee, really. Yeah, so I think, for anyone coming for a week and is going to do some cycling, like if they're going to cycle every day, maybe bring your own bike. But if you're just going to cycle for maybe half that time, better just to hire one.
But even then, it's not easy to organise getting your bike somewhere, and you've got the risk of having it transported. And, I think, well, I suppose it depends how much you prefer to ride your own bike. But I think it sounds like there's a lot of benefits to just having, especially, you're hiring a decent one. It's not like you're going to get there and be given a sort of Boris bike for a week.
Yeah, that's right.
I can imagine that not being so fun.
No.
The other thing that people always want to know is, what's the food like?
Oh, yeah, the food is... So Valencia is home to paella. There's a lot of that available, and they are quite particular about how they cook it and how they serve it. I've been told off myself before now for not cooking and serving it correctly. There's a wide range of very good food, I would say. All types, actually, but a really good Spanish influence. A lot of seafood, being coastal or close to the coast, there is an awful lot of seafood available. The ports, you've got ports in Valencia and Alicante, but also in Denia and Altea and Javier. There are fishing boats coming, and Calpe, bringing fish daily. And so there is a good supply of fresh seafood, and many restaurants are really good at making that into good meals at pretty good prices, actually. Like everywhere in the world, I suspect, prices have gone up over the last 6 months, and it's the same, but it's still really good value. So you can eat out like really well for €20, which, well, I think that's really good. So the food's good, widely available, and on the good value side, let's say. Yeah. And the wine's great too. Spain is a really big wine producing country. But there are good grapes grown in the region. But, I guess what Spain's probably best well known for is La Rioja, which is also not so far away. So yeah, lots of wine available, lots of everything available, really. Yeah.
And local olives.
Yeah, there are, yes. So don't eat them straight from the tree, yeah?
Yeah.
So, because it's naughty for one, but also they taste really bad. They're very bitter. But yeah, once they've been through the processing procedures, they are really, really lovely. Typically, olives will be served as like a little tapas. As if you buy a drink in a bar, often you'll get some olives just with that. It's not a standard procedure, but many places will do that for you. Or you go in somewhere for lunch and have order a sandwich, tostada or something like that. Olives will come as part of the deal along with your drink, just as a little aperitif, I suppose. So yeah, olives are a big part of the diet.
Yeah, it's interesting when you say about don't take them off the tree. I didn't do this with olives, and I was younger, and it was naughty, and I did learn my lesson. But there's quite often there's orange trees in Spanish towns, and we jumped up and grabbed a couple of oranges once because they just looked so nice, and there was loads of them, and we just thought, it doesn't matter, we'll just have one little one each, and we were dead excited, and they were disgusting. So yeah, it's like it's the wrong thing to do anyway. And then when you're rewarded for your cheekiness with this disgusting inedible thing that it's not worth it.
It's not worth it, no. So yeah, so the oranges, they grow an awful lot of oranges around there too. Probably more than olives actually, and it'll be quite common for you'll see buckets by the side of the road, and they'll be for sale. Like €3 or €4 for 5 kilos of oranges, and they've not long since been off the tree, and they are genuinely very good. Typically,
5 kilos of oranges.
Yeah. So, and because that's a lot just to cut up and eat, but a nice thing to do is just chop them in half and juice them, so you can have fresh orange juice. It's really, really good. So much better than anything else you could do with the juice. So yeah, it's real nice, and yeah, they're super widely available. You'll find at the weekly markets, but also just at the side of the street, and there'll be someone nearby, to take you €3 or €4 and give you a basket and say, thanks very much. Yeah,
you really don't need to rob them off trees.
You don't. That's right.
Honestly, I'm grown up now. I wouldn't do it now.
No. So yeah, it is a big orange growing region. So, and for anyone that's there a little later in the year, so visiting in springtime, they'll be typically around February, but this is all a bit weather dependent, temperature dependent. February time, mid-February, let's say, is the almond blossom that will come out, and you get all the pinks and this lovely aroma. Typically, a few weeks after that has passed, the orange blossom that will come out, which then fills the air with the scent of orange, which is just so nice. Yeah. So that would typically be, late March, mid to late March, I'd say, something around there. It's variable each year. So a nice time to be there just for that, actually. But, there's more than that. They don't just harvest the oranges at one time. They'll be typically, they stagger the harvests. So there's always plentiful supply.
Well, we're going to have to bring this episode to a close because I can't cope with this conversation anymore. I really, really, really want to be in the Costa Blanca right now with a nice glass of orange juice and a big sunny rock to look at. But yeah, I feel a bit sad about the rest of my day to come now.
So grey.
I know. So grey. Get back to my cold coffee. Stop complaining. Is there anything else that you want to say about the Costa Blanca that we haven't covered?
I think for anyone that's already been to other parts of southern Europe on a sport climbing holiday and they haven't tried Costa Blanca yet, then give it a look. Check out this guide. Have a Google and see what you find, and give it a try because it is genuinely an amazing place. Yeah, I'd say it's the premier winter destination for an outdoor activity enthusiast. So just go.
And that's a bold claim, but try and prove him wrong. That's all we're going to say. And the guidebook that you've written, that's coming out in September.
Yeah.
Do you want to plug that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Wow, Costa Blanca Mountain Adventures. That's been a bit of a labour of love, really. I think it's been about 4 years I've been working on this. So there's going to be around, it's like 60 chapters, I guess. There's the best way of looking at it in there. So 60 different things to do, be that a run, via ferrata, a canyon, a really nice cycle ride, some climbing. The list goes on. And the reason that I put this guide together is because there was nothing else out there. Information was really lacking. There's there's already a really good guidebook for the sport climber, and that's kind of where it stops. Well, no, that's not true. There's a really good walking guidebook as well. So you've got a walking guidebook and you've got a climbing guidebook. But that's 2 guidebooks, and there's nothing to fill all these other gaps like the the canyons and the via ferrata. So we were forever looking, like Googling, or what's this canyon like, or what's this via ferrata like, or where can we get information for such and such. It was really frustrating to be spending so much time doing this and often just finding fairly poor information. So I decided to put this together to change that, and the finished product will be there available from mid-September, I believe. It's super well researched, so go get it.
Yeah, there's a lot of love and expertise that goes into these guidebooks, and yeah, I think it comes through. I suppose I would say that, but I mean, it looks great. You've made me want to go to the Costa Blanca. The photos are great, and there is loads to do, and it's easy to get to. I'm not sure we found a downside, but I don't think we need to.
There isn't one.
Yeah. So that's it for the Costa Blanca. Yeah, thank you for that, Mark. There's just very inspirational, and another one for the list.
Great stuff. Thanks, Hannah.
Thanks for joining me.
I hope you enjoyed the latest episode of Footnotes, the Cicerone podcast. I'd love to know what you think, or if there's anything you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Please email live@cicerone.co.uk or leave a review on your podcast platform. You can follow or subscribe to the podcast to make sure you don't miss new episodes, or you can sign up to our newsletter for all our latest news, events and guidebooks. Visit cicerone.co.uk for further details. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, come and find us on our social channels. We're on all the main ones as @Cicerone Press, and we also have a Facebook group, Cicerone Connect, where you can meet and chat to other outdoor enthusiasts. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you soon.